And I welcome you today to CSC Talker Radio. It's my honor, my privilege, and my pleasure to be here with you today. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I had a busy weekend. Kids were I had two of my sons that decided to prove their manhood, and they were in a Tough Mudder. And I went, and like the tough mudder that I am, I followed them around and got a little sunburn, got a little tired. And thought, yeah, those prenatal vitamins paid off. They did a good job. Anyway, getting on to the news. Do you remember when the Lord said, let those without sin or without guilt cast the first stone? And wow, the D.C. politicians, especially the Democrats these days, but all of them, mind you, all of them, must be pure saints, because the stones are being hurled, and they're numerous. Quack, quack, gobble, gobble. Do you remember that old joke where they were moving a piano or something, and the guy up above, he dropped the piano, and the guy down below got hit, and he was scolding his partner. Why didn't you warn me? He said, I did. I yelled, quack, quack, gobble, gobble. He said, what's that supposed to mean? He says, duck. Turkey? Well, perhaps that's a stretch here. But wouldn't it seem that we've become a bunch of turkeys as the stones are being hurled, and we should be yelling quack, quack, gobble, gobble, and ducking. But we fall for the rhetoric, and we fall for the lies and the drama and the accusations, and then we watch as things unfold, and we are dizzy from trying to figure it all out. The truth is, DC is corrupt, all of them. Truth is, the politicians are hurling stones, and they are not without guilt. My daddy used to say, they judge you by how they are. The truth is, America is buried in political corruption. They are guilty of such bad behavior, it isn't even funny. Yet we do joke about the lying politicians, and we should not. I'm sorry, guys, but we just shouldn't. The nation has a $22 trillion debt, and we have people complaining about which restaurant a government official attends. This nation went through a civil war, and today there are those who haven't got a clue what true oppression is, what slavery was, how far they have come. Those who scream about racism hate all white people. White people are afraid to speak out because they have this guilt laid upon them for what happened over a century ago. But people fail to recognize there were and still are slaves, white and black and other colors too, slaves of all colors and slave owners of all colors. This doesn't excuse the slavery this country had, but just the reality, this world is a sinful, broken place. Protesting in the streets because of fascism, capitalism, and whatever other ism you want to claim is doing no good. Screaming women's rights as if abortion is a right, as if having others pay for your health care is a right. What a crazy kind of independence they want to be dependent on. The news is a montage again this morning. After all, it is Monday. It is a new day. It is a new week. What will we do with it? Now is the time for all good men and women to come to the aid of their country. Do you remember typing that out in typing class? Oh my gosh, that dates me, doesn't it? I looked that up to see who had said that several years ago, and nobody said it. But it was a phrase that they used in typing class because it covered nearly all the keys. Well, it's time the Republic covered all the keys. Now is the time for all good men and women to come to the aid of their country. Do you care about what's happening? Are you sifting through the lies and the gossip for truth? Yes, corruption matters. Spreading hate to gain votes is a stupid idea. Is it working? President Barack Obama said the American people are too smart to elect Trump. He wasn't president then, but now he is President Trump. As the Russian collusion unfolds, it would appear they feared the people would elect this outsider, even though he said they wouldn't, and they put a plan in place to get rid of him, to erase your votes. Think about it that way. It's not about President Donald Trump. It's about the people who elected him. The people are too smart to elect him. But we did. The deep state is dark and a sinister place. And it's filled with Democrats, Republicans, blacks, whites, Hispanics, Asians, and all races and colors. Amazing how sin, corruption, has no real prejudice, does it? Well, one of the very first stories I'm going to pull out here is Van Jones. You know, he's that nice-looking guy. He was one of the czars for President Barack Obama. And he's a talk show host. He's a journalist, I guess, a reporter. And he went on CNN, and he's a host there, and he compared Fox News' Laura Ingraham to a neo-Nazi on his show Saturday and said that they were preaching the message of hate. Now, who's preaching the message of hate? I have not heard Laura Ingraham preach the message of hate. In fact, I've heard her more of the other way around. She kind of calls it like it is, but she also says this separation is doing no good. That's not what we hear from Maxine Waters on the Democrat side. That's not what we hear from Nancy Pelosi. That's not what we hear from Schumer, crying Schumer. That's not what we hear from Ellison. But CNN Van Jones says he played a clip on this CNN and colleagues interviewing a white nationalist in Pennsylvania, and then he played a clip of Ingraham discussing the demographic changes in America. And this guy, this is a quote here, this guy actually openly wears swastikas on his shirt, and he says America is his country because he's white. I think most of us think he's an idiot. I would think he was an idiot. Jones said before running the clip, to be fair, 12 of the guy's neighbors came out immediately and told CNN correspondent, this guy does not represent us. We don't feel that way. So 12-1. But who are they going to give the credit to? The one. And then they go after Laura Ingraham. Why? To spread hate. To spread hate for votes for the Democrat Party coming up in November. Now remember, we had a caller from New Mexico last week, and she said, I think her name was Darla? She said, we need to be paying attention to this. So I'm calling everyone out. Don't let hate bring in these votes. I don't think it'll work, but don't fall for this stuff. Start looking at the policies. If they have time to do policy with as much stuff as they're into, start paying attention to what the president's actually doing and not what they're accusing him of having done, or what he did 20 years ago, or 15 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 5 years ago. They've all got a few skeletons in their closet. Some of them aren't very old. But again, they judge you by who they are, by how they are, as my dad used to say. And you know, he's right. And I have some other news here about them spreading hate that I want to talk to you about. Do you really think that spreading the hate is going to bring the Democrats a win in November? Because that's all they really have. They don't have any policies. They want to stop your tax reform. They don't want you to get that extra, what do they call it, crumbs in your paycheck. We're going into a break. Your calls are welcome. Keep it on task. We are not on Free for All Friday. This is Monday. Will hate win in November? 877-895-5410 is the number to call. That's 877-895-5410. And we will be right back.